Some of y'all are so soft. You don't want to hear that you're overeating, that you're lazy, and you don't want to move your body, and you're using all of these excuses to not do anything. Some of you are so stuck in denial, you'll be in the same place as you are now 20 years from now. Block me. Delete me.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Erin Bies. I'm an ACE certified personal trainer and an ACE fitness nutrition specialist. That is always a mouthful, but it is what it is. I've been coaching clients online and in person over the last few years, working with people of all ages, backgrounds, and fitness levels. On this channel, we take an evidence-based look at health and wellness claims, whether they're coming from influencers, multi-level marketing companies, or anyone selling health advice online. So today I was sent by many of you a rant, a crash out, if you will, from Kelsey Rhae. Good thing her video is only like 2 minutes long, but as always, I have a lot to say. We're going to talk about qualifications. We're going to talk about what good coaching versus bad coaching looks like. We're going to talk about why this ad, in my opinion, could have been rejected. And most importantly, we're going to talk about what the evidence actually says. My goal today is not to shame anyone. It's to use this video as a teaching opportunity. That's my hope, at least, so that whether you're looking for a coach or you're on your own fitness journey, you'll leave knowing what good coaching actually sounds like. Before we jump in, I have an announcement. This is something that's really important to me. If you've been around the channel for a while, you know that my cat Luna has become the unofficial mascot around here and probably the main reason y'all come to my channel, which thank you for that. I appreciate y'all being here. Well, we have partnered with Gimme Swag Merch to turn Luna officially into a plushie, and I'm turning it into a fundraiser, which is very exciting. So 20% of the proceeds is going to go to an organization called Homeward Bound Cat Adoptions, and they're right here in Las Vegas. And we are in the pledge phase. What that means is we need 100 people to pledge just $2 to move the project into production, the design, and then the production. So if you'd like to support it, I'll have the link in the video description, and also we'll have it as a pinned comment. And even if a plushie isn't your thing, which I understand, even if financially you're not in a place where you can purchase a plushie and you would like to support the channel and the cause here, you can share this out, share the link, tell anybody and everybody that you can, because ultimately helping cats in my community is really exciting to be a part of. So thank you so much for supporting projects like this that allows us to give back. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into today's video.
If you feel the need to unfollow me, I cannot beg you enough to just do it, because I'm not done. I'm going to piss you off. I'm going to make you real mad, because I'm starting to rediscover who I am, and I'm going to piss you off. We made an ad. I'm going to rant for a sec, if that's okay. Okay? If you don't want to hear it, keep it moving, because I might hurt your feelings in this also. We made an ad. Eric and I run a business helping people, specifically moms over 30, reach that next level of fitness, right?
What? What do you mean? Let's actually stop right there, because I think this is where we need to have a conversation. Whenever somebody is selling health and fitness coaching, I think it's absolutely reasonable and normal for people considering their service to ask what kind of education, what training, and what experience is informing the advice that they could potentially be paying for. Now, before anyone says, well, you don't need a certification to help people, I agree. I actually agree with that. To a certain extent. You don't need a certification to share your own fitness journey. You don't need a certification to talk about what has worked for you. You don't need a certification to inspire someone to start walking or lift weights. However, I do think the conversation changes when you are starting to charge people for coaching, especially when you're coaching exercise and specifically nutrition. Now, we all know Kelsey Rhae does not hold a recognized fitness or nutrition credential. Her husband, Eric, who recently blocked me, I know, he does hold a certification through ISSA as a certified personal trainer and also for nutrition coaching. And I think strength, something with strength. I can't remember right now. Anyways, he's completed education through that organization. Now, having a certification doesn't automatically make somebody an amazing coach. And not having one doesn't automatically mean that every piece of advice someone gives is wrong. However, I do think people deserve transparency, as I often talk about on my channel. Especially when you're paying somebody to coach you on your health and your fitness, you are trusting them with something that is incredibly important. You're trusting them with your body, your confidence, sometimes your relationship with food, sometimes your relationship with exercise. And that's a really big responsibility. That's why, in my opinion, qualifications matter. Not because certifications magically make somebody a great coach. And honestly, I think we've seen enough of Eric's advice to know that that's not always the case, meaning his coaching, in my opinion, kind of sketchy. I will say qualifications do matter because good education teaches coaches how to think. It teaches exercise science, nutrition fundamentals, behavior change, scope of practice, when to refer someone to another professional, and maybe most importantly, it teaches us that every client is different. I've also covered Eric's coaching along with their Prove It grifting here on the channel. I'm pretty sure most of you already know, especially if you've been here for a while, how I feel about what these two individuals are doing online, about the things that he is doing specifically and saying online. But I'll have those playlists linked below if you're looking for more information. In one of those videos that I covered recently, I purchased, with some help, shout out to that person, you know who you are, I purchased his latest guide because I wanted to see what was being suggested. And there were several claims and recommendations that I didn't think were supported by the current body of evidence. I know, shocker. There were parts that I agreed with, which I was shocked by, to say the least. However, when I saw this video, I wasn't interested in just simply reacting to it, although that would be very easy to do. I saw it as an opportunity to have a much bigger conversation, hopefully with all of you guys. So because I don't think the biggest issue here is Kelsey Rhae, although we've definitely documented some pretty problematic behavior from these two individuals over the years, I think the bigger question is, what should good coaching actually look like? What should it sound like? And what should you expect if you're paying somebody for fitness or nutrition coaching? Those are the questions that I hope that I can help answer today. All right, let's keep watching.
Right? Go from to strong. And I whisper that because that's one of the things I believe had an impact at my ad being rejected. Right? I got a notification on Facebook that said, your ad is making people feel bad about their bodies.
Can we appreciate this pause story real quick before Okay. All right, let's chat about this. Now, Kelsey Rhae is framing this as if people are being too sensitive. But is that actually what happened? When I first heard this, my initial thought wasn't, wow, people are so sensitive. I mean, you have somebody on here without credentials talking about going from skinny fat to strong. I would never say that to my clients. My first thought when I saw this was, I wonder why that ad was rejected, because Meta has some pretty extensive advertising policies specifically around health and weight loss and body image. Other platforms also have similar policies, and I think that that's great because the goal isn't to stop people from talking about fitness. The goal is to reduce advertising that uses shame, fear, or personal attacks to sell a product or service. One thing you'll notice is that Meta doesn't want advertising calling attention to somebody's personal attributes. So things like, you need to lose weight, are you overweight, you're unhealthy, or language that implies someone should feel ashamed of the way they look, that's very different than educating somebody. Advertising has a different standard because advertisers are asking people to spend money. It's important to point out the difference here. Now, I don't know exactly which sentence caused Kelsey Rhae's ad to be rejected. I don't think she does necessarily, but obviously none of us that I am aware of have seen the ad because I don't even think it made it to, well, maybe it did. I don't know. I didn't see it, so I don't know exactly how it was written. We can only go off of what she's saying here. However, when she says my ad got rejected because people are soft, which she's getting ready to say, that's not actually supported by Meta's policies, by what we know. It could have been, perhaps, maybe an automated review. It could have been, one sentence in the ad that was flagged. It could have been multiple sentences. It could have been simply the wording We don't really know. So instead of assuming, I would rather ask, what are the policies trying to accomplish? And in my opinion, they're just trying to reduce shame-based advertising, because shame is unfortunately a really powerful marketing tool. If I can convince you that you're broken or that you're failing or that somebody else has it figured out except you, I'm much more likely to convince you that I have the solution. It's disgusting. And unfortunately, that kind of marketing has been around in the fitness industry for decades. We've seen it with diet culture. We've seen it with detoxes. We've seen it with before and after photos. I participated in it with before and after photos when I was a part of multi-level marketing. We've seen it with summer body trends and messaging. We've seen it with multi-level marketing companies, and we've seen it from influencers online. And the message is almost always the same. You have a problem and I can fix it. And as coaches, I think we have to be really careful not to build our businesses on making people feel worse about themselves, because people can absolutely improve their health without believing they're broken first. Louder for the people in the back. Those two things are not the same. Okay. All right. Let's keep watching, because this is where she's going to start saying people are soft. Oh, but she's going to piss us off. Okay.
You can't say nothing. You can't say anything. Health and wellness, being in fitness, being in the fitness industry, and if you're a part of this industry as like a business owner, then you already know, please follow me, because I would love to just have more of those types of people.
Let me just say, if people are in the fitness industry, we know better, and we're not going to follow somebody like Kelsey Rhae thinking we're going to learn something because we have science on our side.
But it's like, you can't say anything, because some of y'all are so, I've been doing good, not cursing on my content. Some of y'all are so soft. You're soft. You don't want to hear it. You don't want to be told about yourself. So I like to be a little bit, right? Tell me how it is. Tell me what I need to change. Tell me what's wrong so I can fix it. Some of y'all are so in denial. You don't want to know what's wrong. You don't want to hear it. You don't want to hear that you're overeating, that you're lazy, and you don't want to move your body, and you're using all of these excuses to not do anything. Some of you are so stuck in denial. You'll be in the...
Okay. Let's pause her right there, because what I'm hearing here is what I think is really the heart of her video. Before I say anything else, I want to make something extremely clear. I believe in accountability. I use accountability with my own clients. Sometimes those conversations are not comfortable. Sometimes my clients don't love what they hear. That's a part of the coaching process. But there's a huge difference between accountability and shame. Definitely not the same things here. Good coaches absolutely tell clients difficult truths. If someone isn't eating enough protein, I'm going to tell them. If they're skipping workouts, we're going to talk about it. If they're self-sabotaging, we're going to work through that together. That is coaching. That's how this works. What I don't do is assign somebody's character before I've understood their situation, because coaching isn't about labeling people. It's about understanding people. I'm currently going through Precision Nutrition's Level 1 certification, and this curriculum has had one of the biggest influences on the way that I coach. One of the core ideas they teach is to coach the person, not the problem. That means getting curious before getting critical. And instead of asking, well, what's wrong with this person? We ask, what's getting in the way? And that one question completely changes the conversation. And honestly, it usually leads to much better solutions and outcomes. Oh, this rant is so fascinating from somebody that is unqualified and clearly just upset that she can't continue to grift, in my opinion.
The same place as you are now, 20 years from now. And that's fine. But before you go and try and drag me down from helping other people who actually want it, block me, delete me, scroll. It takes 2 seconds to just scroll.
I also want to add, I'm still thinking about this overeating rant that she just did a couple seconds ago. This is where I think coaching either helps somebody or it hurts somebody, because there's several claims from her, I feel like, packed into just a few seconds. So the overeating part, maybe the person is overeating, maybe they're not. We don't know. And that's exactly my point. As a coach, I don't know enough yet. If someone came to me wanting to lose weight, I'm not immediately jumping to, hey, you're overeating. I'm asking a ton of questions. Walk me through what a typical day looks like. What does breakfast look like? How's your sleep? How stressed are you right now? Do you work nights? Do you work shift work? Are you caring for, young children? What does your movement look like outside of the gym? Have you dieted before? What diets have you tried? How do weekends usually go for you? Because all of that absolutely matters. And that's not me avoiding accountability with this client. That's me gathering information before making recommendations. And honestly, that's what coaching is. It's not guessing or assuming, it's collecting information, finding patterns, and then building a plan together. It's collaborative. Oh, God. When I first started out as a personal trainer, this was before I became a fitness nutrition specialist, before precision nutrition. I thought to myself, and who was I telling? I was telling somebody this the other day. I was like, oh man, when I first became a trainer, I thought I was going to have like all these systems in place and that, okay, this person, they want this. And I would have all these systems in place that helped manage things easily for me. And what I learned since then was you have to coach the person sitting in front of you, not the person that we think they are. Two people can have the very same goal and need completely different solutions. One person might genuinely be eating more calories than they realize. Another person might be chronically under eating during the day and then find themselves wanting to eat everything in sight in the evenings because they are starving and their body is like, hey, we need some food here. Two very different problems. So why would I coach them the same way? I wouldn't. But in my mind, when I first became a coach, I was like, yeah, I'll put these systems in place. So it's really interesting to kind of look back at the progression of how I coach people now versus the idea when I first started. Anyways, that's why I struggle with blanket statements like this, because human beings are not that simple. And the whole label of lazy that she's throwing out here for people, I think I probably hate that the most. Not because nobody has ever avoided doing something difficult or that they didn't want to do. We've all done that. I've done that. You've probably done that. The problem is that lazy isn't a coaching assessment. And I know, how wild is it that I would expect her to know this without any proper training and just borrowing credibility for the certifications that her husband has. I know, that's kind of wild. I think it's important to mention, lazy is a label. Labels don't help me coach somebody. Let's say a client tells me that they haven't worked out in 3 weeks. I have two choices. I can say, oh, well, you're lazy, like Kelsey Rhae is doing here. Or I can say, hey, what have the last 3 weeks looked like for you? That one question opens the door to coaching. Maybe they've been working overtime, or they've been sick, or they have an injury that they're recovering from, or they've been sleeping 4 hours a night, or they're overwhelmed, or they're dealing with depression or family stuff. Maybe they're scared to walk into a gym because they don't know what they're doing. I don't know. And neither does anybody else until we ask lots of questions. And one of the biggest lessons that I've learned as a coach is that behavior always has a reason. Sometimes it's obvious. Sometimes it takes a little digging. But if we stop at, hey, you're just being lazy, we've ended the conversation before we've even started solving the problem. And to me, good coaching starts with curiosity, not conclusions. And here's the interesting part. Sometimes after asking all those questions, the client realizes that they haven't been prioritizing themselves. And that's accountability. But they got there through personal reflection, not because somebody slapped a label on them and said that they were lazy. And that is a much more powerful place to create lasting change. Okay, let's go back to the Kelsey Rhae rant.
Anyways, right over. And don't think for a second, if you're a hater watching this, that this little bump in the road is going to stop me. I don't care.
I know I haven't played much of her video. I want to talk about what she said about people being in the same place you are now 20 years from now, and that's fine. Do some people stay stuck? Of course. I've seen it. Maybe you have too. Sometimes people know exactly what they need to do and they don't do it. And that's real. But as coaches, our job isn't to stop at, well, you're in denial. Our job is to figure out why. Because every behavior serves a purpose. Maybe someone is stress eating. Maybe they're emotionally attached to certain foods, or they're overwhelmed, like I've mentioned previously. Maybe they're trying to be perfect Monday through Friday, and then everything falls apart on the weekend. Maybe they've spent years bouncing from one diet to the next. Those aren't excuses. That is information, and information helps me to coach better. You have to meet clients where they are, not where we wish they were. That doesn't mean lowering expectations. It means creating a plan that's realistic for the life that they are actually living. Because here's the truth, the best workout in the world doesn't work if somebody can't stick with it. The perfect nutrition plan isn't perfect if someone quits after 4 days. Optavia, I am absolutely disrespectfully with my entire chest talking to you. Adherence matters. And one of the biggest predictors of adherence is whether the plan actually fits into somebody's life. And as coaches, sometimes we have to pull back. Sometimes we have to push them forward. That's the art of coaching. Not everybody needs more discipline. Some people actually need more recovery. Some people need permission to stop trying to be perfect. Some people need more accountability. Some people need less guilt. That's why coaching isn't one size fits all. It is individual to that person. And honestly, that's one of my favorite parts about what I do, working with people on fitness and nutrition. No two clients are exactly alike. No two solutions are exactly alike. It's very, very cool, I must say. Anyways, let's keep watching.
I'm just getting started. So keep watching if you want, but I really wish you would just block me.
She wishes that we would just block her so that we stop holding her accountable. But honestly, I hope she doesn't stop. I do hope that there are more ethical and credentialed people that start talking about fitness online. I know there's a lot of really great people that are sharing about nutrition and fitness online that are doing it very ethically, very client focused. And I love that. Where I think we have to be careful is making sure that confidence doesn't replace competence. Confidence can really be persuasive, especially on social media, but confidence isn't evidence, and confidence doesn't automatically make advice effective. And one of the things I always encourage people to ask when they're looking for a coach, as I've talked about on my channel here before and on social media in general, is to ask yourself how these coaches are making these decisions. Can they explain why they're recommending something? Can they point to evidence? Do they adjust their recommendations when new evidence comes out? Do they individualize their coaching, or is everyone getting the same message? Hello, Brittany Dawn? Okay. Those questions matter so much more than follower count or before and after pictures or how competent somebody sounds on camera. And that's true whether we're talking about me, Kelsey Rhae, Eric Caraway, or anyone else on the internet. And as consumers, we should be asking better questions because your health deserves that transparency. I really feel like the biggest takeaway for me isn't whether Kelsey Rhae hurt anybody's feelings. It isn't whether people are too soft or whether her ad should or shouldn't have been rejected. I think the bigger question is, what kind of coach do you want helping you? Because that's really what this comes down to. If you're looking for someone to yell at you and use terms like skinny fat and lazy, unfortunately, there are coaches who do just that. If that motivates you, okay. But I don't think that's where lasting behavior change comes from. And at least that's not what I've seen coaching real people. The clients I've worked with over the years haven't needed somebody to tell them that they're lazy. And most of the time, they already feel guilty. They already thought they have failed. They already believe that they lack discipline. They didn't need me to pile onto that. They needed somebody to help them figure out why they were stuck and then help them build a plan they could actually stick to. And that is coaching. That doesn't mean we avoid hard conversations. I've absolutely had to tell clients things that they didn't necessarily want to hear. That's never fun, but it has to be done. I've had conversations about consistency, nutrition, unrealistic expectations, self-sabotage, and those conversations are very important when we're talking about coaching. But those conversations also happen in the context of trust, not shame. People are far more likely to change when they feel supported than when they feel judged. People don't need perfection. They need progress. They don't need someone to make them feel smaller. They need somebody who believes that they're capable of getting stronger, both physically and mentally. That's the kind of coach I want to be, and it's the kind of coaching that I think more people deserve. And let's also remember, in all of this, Kelsey Rhae is not qualified to be doing any of this and is attempting to borrow her husband Eric's credentials in a really odd way. She has flipped back and forth between, I'm not going to talk about fitness, I'm not going to talk about nutrition, I'm just going to talk about the business and selling ketones. Honestly, I don't know how her audience doesn't have whiplash at this point. She's not hurting anybody's feelings with this rant where she's whispering how I believe that she really feels. I believe she is the person with hurt feelings because her ad was rejected, probably because it wasn't done very well. Bills are piling up. Prove It income is dropping. Her parenting guide failed, and people are holding these two accountable for their terrible and at times dangerous advice. And honestly, I love to see it. And I think it's important to continue talking about all of this. So please, Kelsey Rhae, keep talking. Keep ranting, keep putting out terrible advice to try and sell ketones. Can't wait for you to join the next MLM company, whatever it may be, because it gives me the opportunity to actually educate people on evidence-based nutrition and training to avoid working with people like you and Eric. If this video resonated with you and you're looking for evidence-based coaching that's built around your life instead of shame or fear, I'd love to work with you. I offer online and in person here in Las Vegas, personal training and nutrition coaching, and you can learn more at erinbies.com. That is linked in the video description below. Whether you work with me or another coach, I hope you walk away from this video knowing what good coaching actually sounds like, what bad coaching actually sounds like, especially from somebody that's unqualified. Please make sure you always ask questions, look for evidence, and don't settle for somebody who's more interested in making you feel bad than helping you get better. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this type of video, I'd really appreciate it. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and let me know down in the comments, what do you think makes a great coach? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for being here. I'll see you in the next video. Bye, everybody.